I'd like to call this meeting to order, and we would like to recognize that collectively we are on the unceded territories of all the First Nations within our regional boundaries. So can I get an approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Approved by Vivian, seconded by Tony. The special staff report, do we read that or?
Sorry, Chair.
Kristen, go ahead.
Thank you. Can you call the question on the last one? And yes, we can just move the next report as presented on the agenda.
Okay, yep. I call the question on approval of the agenda. All in favor, opposed, motion carried. And the same for then 4.1. Moved and seconded by Tony and Sal. And I'll call the question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. Now we're off to Horizon report from the closed. We don't have anything. The consent agenda, is there anything from the consent agenda that anybody would like to pull? Vivian?
May I please remove item 6.2.1, select funds report?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then
I think
Sal, go ahead. You're muted.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I'd like to remove 6.2.2.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, Kristen, go ahead.
thanks, Chair. So the select funds report will be slotted in as 8.2.
Okay, 8.2.
And the quarterly building report will be slotted in as 8.3.
Okay. Okay, so could I have a move and seconder on that? Or Tony, do you have a question?
I'll move the amended consent agenda.
Okay, seconded by Sal. Call a question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. Business arising from the minutes. I don't believe we have any. Staff reports and other business, CAO verbal update.
Thank you, Chair. Nothing today.
Thank you. Okay, number 9.1, directors reports, area D infrastructure.
Sorry, Chair.
We've got to go to those consent things.
8.2 is the select funds report.
Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah, okay, they're going, yeah, okay. So 8.2 then, which is,
is the one that I asked to be removed.
yeah, 6.2.1 select funds report. So Vivian, go ahead.
And that's budget 2900 or cost center 2900. We've had some discussions about this fund, and I see there's still $37,000 sitting in it. And I thought of two things. First of all, I think this has been a really long, hard road for all of our staff. And I wondered if there's anything we can do as part of the building renovations or the home offices that everyone's working in, that would be sort of one of those things that are nice to have, but not necessary to have. And I just would like to leave that question with CAO Helmers, if we could use some of the funds for some of that. And then I also thought of the cost of installing a level 2 charger at the office, which wouldn't just benefit me. And I'm managing just fine without a level 2 charger at the SLRD building, but I wondered if in future we're looking more towards electric cars, shouldn't we have one of those at the building? And they're not that expensive. I have one at my house here, but they're a tremendous convenience for any staff that are driving an electric vehicle. And could we look into that as well? So may I make a resolution to that effect, just for staff to consider? If there's some office place, kind of nice to have, but not necessary to have items, and the level 2 charger at the office for possible purchases through this fund, 900. I'll make a resolution.
Director Rainbow?
Could we separate those into two things, Vivian? Could you make the
Sure,
two motions?
yeah,
I'm happy to second both of them, but I had a comment about the charger thing that I thought maybe better separate.
all right then. So the first resolution would just be to consider some office equipment, nice to have something in recognition for the staff and all this remote work over a year through COVID as one item. That would be the first resolution.
I'll second that.
Okay, so moved and seconded. Call a question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. Now the second one,
Is for staff to investigate installing a level 2 charger for electric vehicles at the SLRD office.
okay, moved, seconded by Tony again, and I'll call a question, all in favor,
Well, can I just make a
opposed,
comment?
motion carried.
No, I just wanted to
Yeah,
make.
Tony, do you want to,
I
okay,
wanted
yeah,
to comment.
go ahead.
Yeah. We had that presentation from the Fraser Basin Council, from the guy that is involved in electric vehicles and so on. So obviously I approve the motion, and I'm just suggesting that we contact him at Fraser Basin and find out what kind of support there might be for us for installing something like that. I'm not quite sure what the parameters of their program are, but I believe there is some financial support available to a certain extent. It may only be 40% of the cost or whatever, but it would be worth checking.
Yeah, just one question I have, and I guess I'll go to Kristen on this. When the building renovation was done, was the power supply upgraded to the building? Do you know?
Thanks, Chair. It was something that Graham was in charge of, and I'm not sure. We would have to look into the files and see how that was resolved. I can't recall.
Yeah,
I believe
because
it
I know
was.
when I was involved with that building, we were always seemed to be maxed out on power. So yeah, that would be very interesting. I hope that they did upgrade it. But anyways, that's just something to look into, I believe. Thanks. Okay. So we have moved and seconded that. Now 8.3.
Oh, sorry, Chair, if you can just call the question on that second one.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, you did. Sorry, you did.
I did, yeah.
Yep, sorry.
Yeah, okay. Okay, and 6.2.2 is now 8.3, the March 21st quarterly building report. Sal had a question on that. You're muted again, Sal.
I'll get the hang of it. Yeah, there's two building permits, 2485.
Where's this?
It's in the building report. Kim's there, and it says area A. It's actually in area C. So it just needs to get corrected. And that was 2485, and 2511 is an area B. And it says on the sheet there that it's area A. So it also needs to get corrected.
I'm not sure what number you're referring to. Are you talking about the stop work order number?
I'll have to bring it up. Just give me a sec. I should have put the page on it.
Kim, the page that says building permit application summary, and it's got November, December, January. I think it's that page he's talking about.
Yeah, but there's two different pages. So, on page 9 of the PDF, you'll see the 248 application number.
Yeah,
Second from the bottom,
2495.
2485.
And sorry, what do you
Building
say?
permit application number 2485.
Yeah,
The area you've got it as A, it's actually C.
thank you.
I look pretty close, don't I? And the other one is it's on page 19, the last page of the report. Building permit application summary. It's in March 2511,
Okay,
and it says A, and it's in area B.
I will let Arlene know about that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, that's all. Good report.
Thank you.
Oh,
Tony, go ahead.
no, I missed my chance. I'll bring it up later. Thank you.
Okay. So has that been moved and seconded then? That we accept, okay, moved by Sal, seconded by Vivian. Call a question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. Now we go on to director's reports, 9.1, Area D Infrastructure, Director Rainbow.
Okay. As you know, I've been talking quite a bit over the last few months about the gas tax funds, which had accumulated in Area D to over $900,000 because of the difficulty I was having finding projects that fitted. So in conversations with Suzanne and with Angela, we have a number of things here that qualify for gas tax funding. So we're looking at, and I put it all into one motion so that I didn't have to keep coming back with it, but we're not going to spend all of the money right now. So going through that, there's $100,000 for Pinecrest wastewater system, which is immediate. And then $195,000 for Britannia Beach water system, that's also immediate. And then the last three, 20,000 to Britannia Beach wastewater, 20,000 for Furry Creek water system, and 10,000 to Furry Creek wastewater. Those ones I'd like them approved as approved expenditures, but when we actually activate them, that'll be something that I want to work out with Suzanne and with Angela when the time comes. They're not things we want to do immediately, but I thought I'd like to get the approvals now. And then Suzanne knows what she's doing in terms of budgeting, and Angela knows that when it is ready, then we can go ahead. So my motion would be that we approve that whole package. Thank you.
Okay, I'll second that. I'll call the question.
No, you got it.
Vivian,
May I
do you have a question?
just ask the question to make sure I understand it? That all of these projects already have service area taxes attached to them, right? Yes, okay, excellent, good move. Thank you. I support that.
The point is, in terms of asset management,
Got it.
we wouldn't be dipping into reserves. We'd be using gas tax money and leaving reserve and able to build up our reserves. So thank you, Vivian.
Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none, I'll call a question. All in favor, opposed, motion carried. Thank you. We'll go on now to 9.2,
Russell?
Zoom accounts, Director Rainbow. Oh,
Just,
Sal, go ahead.
yeah, I just want to make a comment to the last resolution that was passed. Good move, Tony. All excellent proposals there.
Thank you.
Good way to use your gas tax funds.
Thanks.
9.2, Tony, Zoom accounts.
Yeah, I was having a discussion with our CAO a month or so ago, and the result of that discussion was she suggested I might want to put it on this agenda so I could share my thoughts with the rest of you. We've been using Zoom, well over a year now. Most of the Zoom meetings that I'm involved with have been set up by staff. Even ones for Area D issues, staff have set them up, and then I've just sort of gone into it. And then some of my community ones, like the Britannia Beach Community Association, Paradise Valley, Furry Creek, they have their own Zoom accounts one way or the other, and so I just get invited to their meetings. I get to join that Zoom. Where I was having a problem was I wanted to call a meeting within Area D. It happened a couple of times, once in Britannia, once in Furry Creek, and I haven't got any ability. I didn't want to use the 40-minute one, which is free, because that wasn't going to be long enough. So what I had to do was I had to go to the association and say, look, I want to have this meeting, but will you set it up for me? Which I found a little bit awkward. So my question to Melanie was, can I have an SLRD license so that I can call a meeting myself if I want to, and then invite a community association to join me in a meeting that I've initiated? That obviously costs some money. And so the question is, would that be useful? Would it be useful to the rest of you to have your own Zoom account? Or could we have one Zoom account for the EAD directors that we could share? And then how would we pay for it? Where would it come from? So those were my thoughts, and I'd be interested what other people have to say.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I guess my comment would be, to Melanie, do you have any idea what the cost of one of these accounts is?
Yes, thank you, Chair. It's $27 per month per license currently, plus taxes.
Thank you. Sal?
Vivian's first.
Oh, I'm sorry. Vivian?
See, there's chivalry in Area A. Where am I on your screen, Chair Mac? Towards the bottom, I think. Okay, I just wondered, I looked at this when Zoom first started happening. Ian and I looked at it, took the training, and I do believe he has a Zoom account, but I'm frankly just as happy speaking on the phone So however, I think if I wanted to have a Zoom account, especially with that cost, couldn't that just be something that you could claim as an expense along with your phone and internet as part of being a board member?
Melanie, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. What Director Rainbow and I had discussed was having an SLRD account that could be accessible rather than having the directors go get their own. If a director were to go get their own, the bylaw that we have in place currently does not cover reimbursement for Zoom accounts, only for the cell and the internet use. So that would require a bylaw amendment if we were to do that.
Okay, then I'm totally in support
Yeah.
with that clarification.
Sal, go ahead.
Perfect for our general select fund. The total is $324 a year. And we could utilize that tool. So I'm in agreement with it. And I think it could easily come from our select funds every year. We get just over 10,000 every year on the general select.
Do you want to make a motion to that effect?
I think Vivian wants to talk to it.
Okay, Vivian, go ahead.
That is the basic cost of doing business, and so it should be reflected in the actual SLRD costs.
I'm fine with that also. It's not a lot of money, and I think it would be a great tool for us.
And Melanie, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I think because of the need to connect with people through Zoom rather than face-to-face because of COVID-19, that initially the cost could be covered under restart funds, and that this could then be brought forward for budget as part of the budget deliberation for consideration for 2022 and onwards. Thank you.
Very good. Tony?
Yeah. So if we're talking about having one account that the four of us can access. Is that any difficulties with that, Kristen? Is that easy to do?
Thanks, Director Rainbow. I think CAO Helmer probably knows more than me on this. I think the thought was just to get licenses under our account. Is that correct, Director CAO Helmer?
So there were really two options that were presented, one which Director Rainbow spoke to, which is one that they could have a shared. And in that case, typically what happens is we have a staff member who has the license, and individuals say, I would like to use the license. And so it's booked off for a chunk of time. So if the next director comes in and says, I want this date, they'd say, well, that date's not available. These dates are available, so that there's no conflicts in the booking time. And if the other option was that each would get their own and there would be no conflicts, but it would be at an additional cost. So it would depend on the frequency that the directors think that they would have need of using that type of platform for their communications.
Thank you. Yeah, my opinion would be to do a trial. Just get the one license for the 300 and some odd dollars, and see how it goes, and see. Hopefully, we're not on this platform for the rest of our lives, but one can never tell, I guess. But maybe we should just do a trial run and see how this works, and see if the one has enough time available. I think it would. What's your comment, Tony?
Just that I'm not sure how much I would want to use it. I know I've got some things that I know I want to do, and I think it would make sense to share one, and then if we find that we're tripping over each other, then we can come back and say, okay, maybe we need two, and AB share one and CD shares one, something like that. But let's start off with with one that all of us can share. If I can call into somebody on staff and say, can I book this time, and then have that time, and if that works, then that's great. And I don't care where the money
Sal?
comes from. So.
Yeah, I've been using the shared license, and everybody just populates it with their meeting times. And you can see, when you're on Zoom and you're scheduling your meeting, you can see all the other meetings and when they're at, what time they are, what they're for, so on and so forth. So it's very easy to use, and I use it all the time for various different things related to the SLRD. Sometimes they're 15-minute minutes, sometimes they're an hour long, sometimes they're a half hour. So I'm using Zoom all the time and scheduling meetings. So it depends what you want to use it for. With our area having a majority of the constituents, non-resident property owners, it's a must, no matter what you do.
Very good. So does somebody want to make a motion to
Yeah,
that effect that we go with the one? Okay,
I'll move that.
moved by Tony, seconded by Vivian. I'll call the question. All in favor, opposed, motion carried. Thank you. 9.3, Lillooet Community Bursary Fund, 2021, Director Bert Jones.
Sorry, I'm having a lot of
You're
tech.
muted.
Oh, am I muted?
No,
Okay,
Not now.
thanks. I'm having a lot of technical difficulties here. We're looking at the Community Bursary Fund. Okay. I would like to move $5,000 from Area B Select Funds to go towards the Lillooet and Community Bursary Fund for students graduating from Lillooet Secondary School. I'll make that motion.
second.
Seconded by Tony. Call the question. All in favor, opposed, motion carried. Very good. 9.4, Britannia Mine Museum, Director Rainbow.
Yeah, I move that $5,000 be granted to the Mine Museum from Area D Select Funds for the purpose of installing safety stripping to the wooden stairways at the mine site. And just mention, if you haven't seen in their request, that that's 50% of the cost. They're coming up with the rest of it.
Seconded by Sal. Call the question. All in favor, opposed, motion carried.
Thank you.
Now we go on to correspondence for action, request for funding. Lillooet Board and BMX Association, temporary wooden skate park. Vivian.
Thank you. I would like to move that we contribute $2,000 from Electoral Area B Select Funds for the Lillooet Board and BMX Association temporary wooden skate park. I'll make that
Okay, so
motion.
moved and seconded by Sal. Call the question. All in favor, opposed, motion carried.
Thank you.
And now we go 10.2, request for funding, Just Do It Sports Youth Organization. It's Vivian again.
That's mine again. A motion to contribute $3,700 from Electoral B Select Funds to Just Do It Sports Youth Organization. Kristen, question?
Hey. Kristen, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Was that up to $3,700? $3,700.
$3,700, please. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, I'll second that. And I'll call the question. All in favor, opposed, motion carried. Now it's 10.3, request for funding, Braylorn Community Advisory Committee, Braylorn Baseball Diamond Cook Shack Assessment. Sal?
I'll have to declare a conflict of interest. As my daughter is the bookkeeper for the BRVCA, And my wife is on the board of directors.
Okay, so Kristen will put you in the waiting room, I guess, at this moment. Okay,
And I can make this motion, Chair Mac, for 4,800 from Electoral A select funds to commission a report on the status of the Braylorn Baseball Diamond Cook Shack, with any unused funds returned to the SLRD. And Kristen stands up.
Kristen, go ahead.
Sorry, is that for up to 4,800?
Yes, but it says,
Thank you.
Okay, I'll second that, and I'll call the question. All in favor, opposed, motion carried. Thank you. 10.4, request for funding Seton Portage Shalaf District Chamber of Commerce Community Business Plan for Seton Portage Historic Park and Caboose. And that would be Vivian.
I'm really pleased to see them come in to see some work done in a park area in Seton. So I would like to move that we contribute 2,500, the full amount, to the Seton Portage Shalaf District Chamber of Commerce towards the development of an actionable community business plan for the caboose located in Seton Portage Historic Park. Is that adequate for the
Very
motion?
good. I'll second that.
I did,
And go ahead.
I did have one question looking over this as I was getting ready for the meeting, and I wondered if it could come out of the fund 30111, which is labeled parks in Area B select funds. So that would be first choice. And second choice would be just general select Area B. If I could leave it like that.
Okay, I'll second that amended motion then.
Nope.
And I'll call the question. All in favor, opposed, motion carried.
that's a quick
Now we
question.
go to 10.
Can I ask?
Go ahead, Tony.
I'm really interested in this. I was trying to remember from when I've been to Seton where this park is in relation to, say, the hotel or the school. Give me a clue.
All right. So from the hotel, walking towards Anderson Lake, on the main drag in Seton Portage, you may have noticed there's a little caboose. Have you seen that caboose? There's a very small park, and I didn't realize that it was in fact a provincial park, and it's a historic. It was one of the first parks, and it's related to railway. I believe the BC Rail, or possibly even I think it's BC Rail, donated this little piece of land as a park, and BC Parks picked it up. It's got some really neat railway history and potential. There's a couple of picnic tables there. They're a little bit beat up, and there's a little bit of a walk up to a small waterfall. It's a nice place, but the caboose has very great potential for that community, and it's been used as a cafe and as a showcase kind of. They'd like to see it as more of a historic place where people can get information about the park. And they have some plans to enhance the park, but they're going to do that working with BC Parks. And so that'll be a bigger process, and this fund will help them move along in that process.
Yeah, very good.
See,
Tony?
Yeah, if I could just comment then. We have a number of museums and historic sites throughout the regional district. And each area, we just did something for Britannia Mine Museum in Britannia Beach. Each area director has some interest in something within their area. I'm just wondering if at some point in the future, we could look at a person who could look at museums and historic sites throughout the whole region and work on grant applications, grant possibilities that would support not just one place, but could support 2 or 3. So for example, there's a major railway museum park area in Squamish. You know, it's in a municipality, but that's run by volunteers and they're constantly looking for money. Maybe an application that would help them and help somewhere in Lillooet and somewhere in Seaton at the same time, it might be beneficial. So I just wanted to raise that, and somebody make a note of it, and at some point in the future we might have an opportunity to hire an intern or hire somebody that could act as a grant writer for us with specific interest in museums and parks, so historic parks. So that's my
Very good. Okay, so now we're off to 10.5. Request for funding Lillooet Sheep Pasture Golf Club, irrigation equipment and refurbished golf carts. Vivian.
Thank you. So once again, from Area B Select Funds, and this is the full amount, not up to. So a motion for funding of $15,000 from Electoral Area B Select Funds towards the cost of equipment and refurbished golf carts to support rental revenues at the Lillooet Sheep Pasture Golf Course. Make that motion.
Very good. I'll second that. I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Very good. Next, 11. Did you have a question, Vivian, or no? Okay. Decision on additional late business. I don't believe we have any other than late business is 12.1. That's request for funding Birkin Recreation and Cultural Society, Cool Creek parking lot and trail extension. So I would like to put $5,000 towards that construction of that, and that's a 50% contribution. The estimated cost is $10,000. The issue there is when they built Cool Creek Trail, they didn't have any parking, and they built a parking lot right on the edge of the highway, and the highway's really narrow there, without any permission from MOT. So MOT, and it's on a Hydro right away. So Hydro's come back and said that the parking lot's got to go. So they've worked with MOTI, Ministry of Forest, and they're going to actually put a new parking lot in at this Spetch Creek Forest Service Road entrance, which is about maybe a full kilometer, maybe 2 kilometers actually. So there'll be a new trail connecting to the old trail, and the Pemberton tourists, they're going to put in a state-of-the-art new outhouse there, and it should be much better and get the cars off the highway. So anyways, that's what I would like to do, and hopefully somebody will second that motion. Thank you. Moved and seconded. I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Kristen?
Thank you, Chair. So is that from Select Funds?
Yes, it is.
And how do you want that released when they've raised the other 50%? Or how do you want to?
Yeah, well, I think they wanted to get going on it right away. So even with 50% of the money, they could do a fair amount of the work So let's release the money up front so that they can get started on this project.
Okay, thank you. I think the resolution as passed will suit that intention.
Allison is there. Maybe Allison's got some comments.
I don't. I think you know the situation better than I do, having driven past it so many times, that the parking is pretty bad.
Yeah.
I did take a look at the potential trail and it looks good. So
Very good, thank you. Okay, so having said that, director's notice of motion, I don't believe we have any. Oh, Sal,
Yeah, I just want to
Anthony.
I just want to make a comment on that, on the last resolution there. It's good to see that they're getting a section 57 and all the permits to be able to do that correctly. It's good to see.
Tony,
I've been talking to Angela about a problem we have, and I understood her to say that she'd got it added to the agenda. An expenditure at Fairy Creek. No?
Melanie,
Thank you, Chair. I think that Director Belsham was saying that if you wanted to bring a director's report forward, that would be possible to be added for a late item, but we haven't received it. Are you looking? Oh, that's why you had your hand up for additional late business. Were you looking to add it as a additional late business under?
I thought I misunderstood.
Can we still do that, Kristen? And is it time sensitive?
Well, they want to do the work sooner rather than later. There's a safety issue involved.
is this the cracks in
Okay.
the path, Director Rainbow?
It is.
Okay, I do know about that one. If we're allowed to speak to it, I can do that.
yeah, please do.
Okay.
Okay,
Don't
just,
you need
sorry,
a
just
motion?
one second. If
Okay.
we're gonna add it, we would have to have a 2/3 majority vote for adding additional late business, and we'd have to go back to item 11.
I'll make that
Okay.
motion to add it as additional business under 11.
Yeah, Sal's going to second it. I'll call the question. All in favor, opposed, motion carried. So,
Thank you, and I'm sorry I misunderstood when I was discussing it with Angela. I misunderstood that I was supposed to do something. So anyway, Alison.
Right. So Director Rainbow reported that there was a crack in the paved walkway at Furry Creek, and on further investigation, we found 3. We were going to cold patch it, but the cost to actually cut it and do a proper patch job is about $1,500. So we were looking for some funding from operational reserve because we don't have it in our service and site maintenance account.
So if I can add to that, if I had agreed to that, then this wouldn't be an item on the agenda. But my position with this was that that walkway is used by the public, by people from Furry Creek, certainly, but by people from the Lower Mainland, from Squamish, from Whistler, the general public that visits this area walks along that walkway. And so maintaining it, I didn't think it was fair to put the cost of maintaining it on taxpayers in Furry Creek, just in Furry Creek. It's basically a tourist accommodation, a tourist facility. And I think we should look at other ways of funding those kinds of amenities in our electoral areas that doesn't just focus on the community in which the amenity is. So my first step was to say, okay, instead of using tax money from property owners in Furry Creek I should at least use select funds from Area D, and then that sort of spreads the cost over the whole of Area D. But even then, you know, we're catering to people that don't live in Area D. They don't even necessarily, well, most of them don't even live in the regional district. So I'd like to spread that cost even wider. I'm prepared to make a motion if I have to, that it comes from Area D select funds, but I would prefer it to come from some other source of funding within the regional district that is more global. And I did talk to Angela briefly about could it come from some parks and trails account? I don't have an answer to that. Or if not that, could it come from the general select funds? So that's the issue. It has to be done because this crack a couple of years ago was about 1/4 of an inch. You know, you get those cracks in pavement. It was about 1/4 of an inch. It's now, I think, probably about 2 inches. It's certainly wide enough for a heel to go into it, and the pavement's beginning to break up. So it has to be done, or it will become or it is already a hazard that would carry some sort of liability. So we need to fix it. So I'm asking what your feelings are about the spreading the cost beyond Area D.
So my thought on that, Tony, is when you go to Vancouver and you know, walk on the sidewalks there, the trails there, whatever, they're maintained by whoever down there, but everybody can use them. And to me, it's no different than in our areas. I know I used to get this question with the fire department. You know, we're going up the Duffy or here and there to go to motor vehicle accidents. But the same thing there is if you go to Kamloops or to the Lower Mainland and get in an accident, you get serviced by the fire department of the area, and the people of that area pay for that service. But we all collectively benefit from it. So in my mind, this would be something similar. But that's just my opinion.
Oh, fair enough.
Anybody else have a comment? Yeah, Vivian?
I agree with you, Chair Mack. I think I'm more comfortable having the monies come out of the select fund where the amenity pertains to. So, for example, the Seton Park work I just took out of B because it's in B. So I feel responsible for it, not general. So that my leaning is towards attaching it to the actual geographic area. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments, Sal?
Yeah, I agree. It should come from select funds for the area. Well, we have lots of places up here that tourists and everybody comes up and so on and so forth. And, you know, we have the amenity fund up here in our area through the BRVCA, and they take care of a whole bunch of things that everybody gets to use, tourists, visitors, it doesn't matter. And yeah, the taxpayers up here are paying for that.
Well,
So Tony, would you like to make a motion to use your select funds as you had stated you would like to do?
I've just done some arithmetic and I've figured out that any other kind of motion doesn't stand a chance of passing. So I'm not going to throw my toys out of the pram and have a fit. I'm going to move that we approve. Now, I think I've heard two different numbers. If Alison, if I were to say up to 1,500, or would that? Or no, let me just say the cost of the repairs and then staff can then, they're not going to come back with a $20,000 bill, I'm sure. But how's it best to word that?
Kristen?
Thanks, Chair. Can we put the allocation of the cost to repair, and then I can put in brackets estimated to be $1,500? Something like that.
I don't want staff to have to wait to do the work because it's going to cost more. So could I say up to 2,000, and that will cover it, and they can just
Sounds
draw
good.
what they need from it. Okay, so my motion then is that we approve the expenditure up to $2,000 to repair the cracks in the walkway on the dike at Ferry Creek. Come from Area D select funds.
Okay, and did you second that, Vivian? Okay, I'll call a question. All in favor? Opposed, motion carried. Thank you, Tony.
Thank
Sal,
you.
go ahead.
I'd just like to make a comment on that, whether it's area A or B or C or D, think about an amenity tax that can deal with some of those things that everybody in that area, electoral area, would pay into. It's not a lot of money for each property owner, but it's a good way to look at doing little jobs like that and taking care of issues like that. I know the Area A one gets used every year.
Yeah, thank you. Good suggestion.
Yeah, that's a good thought, but I'm so reluctant to add more taxes. I mean, we are being literally taxed to death. With all these taxes going up and up and up, and in the situation we're in now as a province and country, so many people are out of work. I think we have to really be very mindful of that. So I think we should we have the ability to use select funds, amenity funds, gas tax funds. I think we have more than enough funds to use for stuff now, right at the moment anyways. So that's just my 2 cents worth. So thank you for that. Is there anything else now late in this game here, or are we on to Tony's favorite motion? Number 14.
Almost, but Kristen was asking about when money should be released, and I'd like to go back to my Britannia Mines thing. So if I give Suzanne the address to send the check to, we could issue that right away, can we? Or the next check run? Just send them the check. Yeah, okay. Great, thank you very much. Well, it's been lovely seeing you all, and I'd like now to move that we adjourn.
Very good, Tony. You're good at that.
Oh,
Thank you very much.
okay.
See you, everybody. Thank you. Well done.
What was the name of that warbler again? The one with the black.
Oh, Wilson.